Right, good morning, and here is the question we're going to look at today in our series of revision over this holidays. We're going to be looking at proportion, and this is the exam question, which problems, and actually it's not a standard proportion, this is an inverse proportion, but before we get on to inverse proportion, we need to look at some standard proportions questions first. So let's get started on that. Go to the first question. And here's our first question on proportion and inverse proportion, and it's just a direct proportion question. Okay, in case you're a bit rusty, I'll give you a hint. Direct proportion basically means we got y is going to be equal to some multiple. I'm going to call that multiple k, lots of x, and use that to help you. Question. I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes. Have a look at this. Have a go and get started. Go. Right, here we go. So let's have a look at this question. And basically what I've just said is when you've got y is directly proportional to x, it means this. Y is equal to some multiple of x. And we need to find that multiple to find out our formula. And what we do is we use information in the question to find out that multiple. Just put those numbers in. So we put y is 10. Right colour pen. So y is 10. Don't know k, that's what we're looking for. We know x is 600. K times 600, so therefore 10 over 600 be equal to k, and I would just cancel out the naught, just leave k is equal to 1 over 60. Therefore our equation will be y equals 1 over 60 times x. And it's good to leave things as fractions when you're dealing with non-calculator papers. If you've got a calculator paper that's not so important to leave it as a fraction, generally I would recommend leaving things as fractions whenever possible, because that will improve your maths. Now in the next part of the question, what usually happens is they get you to use your equation. So we put x is 540 into this, y equals 1 over 60 times 540, take there, times 540. We can cancel out the 0, so that gets you 1 6 of 54, and 6 into 54 goes 9. So 9. Now let's go on to extend this. We're now going to look at y directly proportional to the cube root of x. And notice the numbers are in fractions. I'm going to be putting in, so your fractions will need to be up to a good standard. Now, I'm not going to give you a hint as to how to write this. Remember, directly proportional means it's a multiple of. Okay, so y is a multiple of cube x is the hint I'll give you here. I'll give you time to have a go at this question. Try to do it without a calculator though. Should be able to do it without a calculator. Right, let's look at this question then. We said y is directly proportional, so that means it's a multiple of x. So that's the equation, and we're going to try and find k. And we know that x is 8 when y is equal to 1/6. So we put in 1 and 1/6. Now I tend to prefer to write that as a fraction, a top-heavy fraction. So 1 and 1/6, okay, 1 and 1/6 is equal to 7 over 6. Okay, because 1 times 6 is 6, add it to 1 gives you 7 over 6. And we got k times the cube root of x, which is cube root of 8. Now you should know that 2 to the 1 is 2, 2 to the 2 is 4, and 2 to the 3 is 8, and so on. You need to know these, so therefore the cube root of 8 is 2. We've got 7 over 6 equals to k, so therefore k will equal 7 over 12. So we now got the formula. We now know that y is equal to 7 over 12 times by the cube root of x. And we want to find the value of y when x is 64. So put in x equals 64 in, and we get 7/12 times by the cube root of 64. Well, we know that 2 cubed going to be equal to 8, and we know that 3 cubed, well, if you know 3 squared is 9, 3 cubed is 27, 4 squared is 16, 4 cubed is 64. So we know that the cube root of 64 is 4. So y equals 7 over 12 times 4. Now we could think of 4 as just 4 over 1, and now because we've got times and divide only here, we can cancel. Remember what I said in the previous lesson, when you've got this, you can cancel. If you've got pluses or minuses, then cancelling becomes problematic, and you've got to be careful that you've got factors. We know we've got factors, so we can cancel down the 12 be 3. So our final answer is y equals 3. Let's look at our next question. Now we're going to look at inverse proportion. Now inverse proportion, what this means is if we've got, say, y is inversely proportional to x, that means y is inversely proportional to 1 over x. So if we write that as a multiple, y equals k times 1 over x, and we generally think of it as y equals k over x. So this is y is inversely proportional to x. Y equals k over x is how you do it. So if you think about it, t is inversely proportional to d squared. Okay, I'll just give you the starting point for that because we're going to do a couple more anyway. So we get y equals t over t equals k over d squared. It's inversely proportional to d squared. So basically every time you see inversely proportional, okay, we've got k over that thing. Because inverse proportional means 1 over, and therefore if proportional to 1 over, it's equal to a multiple of 1 over, which is just that thing over the thing we're inversely proportional to. Right, so give you 2 minutes to try and finish this question off. I've done the hard part of it. Okay. Okay, let's have a look at this. So what we're going to do is we're going to put d is 160 here, and we're going to put d equals 8 into here. So t equals 160. Let's just go over here. Place this question. So 160 equals k over d squared. So that's 8 squared. So we get 160 equals k over 64. So 64 times 160 equals k. Now, if you've not got a calculator paper and you want to work this out, if you've got a non-calculator paper and it's asking you to work this out, so we could do 64 times 160. I don't know if you've seen this before. 160 and then Right, 4. Do a little grid. Lines in. And then you got 0, 4s are 0, 4. 0, sorry, wrong. Stupid as that. So we get 0, 4s are 0, and 0, 6s 0. 6 times 4 is 24. Put that in there. 6 times 6 is 36 there. 1, 6 is 6, and 1, 4, 4. And what you do is you add up the diagonals. So there's 0 in here. 4 plus 0 plus 0 is 4. 4 plus 2 plus 6, that's 10, that's 12. So 2 in there and 1 over. 1 plus 0 plus 1 plus 1 plus 0 plus 6 plus 3. So that's going to be 10. Put the 1 over. And so therefore the answer to this multiplication, k will equal 1, 0, 2, 10,040. Now we want to find the value of t when d equals to 0.5. So what we do is we get our equation. We now know that t equals 1000 over 0 squared. And 0.5 squared, that's a half squared, which is a quarter. So we're dividing by a quarter. If you're dividing by a quarter, it's the same as timesing by 4. So t will equal 4 times 10,040. So if you want to times that by 4, get 0 here, 4 times 4 is 1 over 2, 4 times 2 is 8 plus 1 is 9. 4 noughts and 0, 4 times that is 4,060. So hopefully your mental arithmetic has been okay. I'm just checking that answer. That looks good. Just check my arithmetic here. And just to remember, this little trick here makes it very quick and easy to do long multiplication. Right, this one, next question, you're going to do completely on your own. Learn how to do that one. So remember, y is inversely proportional to the square root of x. I'll tell you verbally what to do. Remember, that means y will equal k over the square root of x. I'm going to give you a little bit longer to do that one. Give you 3 minutes to have a go. That one. Go. One thing you might want to think to yourself, you know this is a calculator question. There's a hint that tells you this is obviously a calculator question from calculator paper. Right, let's have a look at this question. So hopefully you set up the question the right way. So we know y is inversely proportional to the square root. So y equals k over the square root of x. By the way, any question which asks you to give the answer to 3 significant figures is a calculator question. Okay. So we know that y equals 9 when x equals 4. So we've got 9 equals k over the square root of 4. Square root of 4 is 2. So we get 9 equals k over 2. So therefore, k will equal 18 times both sides by 2. So k equals 18. We know that x equals 6. So what we're going to do is when x equals 6, we know that y will equal 18 over the square root of 6. And we don't know the square root. Generally, people don't know the square root of 6 off the top of their head. If you type this into your calculator, 18 divided by the square root of 6. And my calculator gives me 3 root 6 as the answer. Y equals 3 root 6. And if you wanted to 3 significant figures, we press the SD button on the calculator to convert that into decimals. So we get y equals 7.348469 and so on the calculator display. So to do it to 3 significant figures. So there's our 3 significant figures. We look at that one, it's bigger than 5, so we round up. So y is equal to 7.3536f. Right. I don't think there's much more I can teach you on this. Yes, there is another question, which I'll leave you to do on your own, and you check in the answer section. Okay, inversely proportional to d. Find the value when d is 0.25. That is a very similar question, just slightly different numbers to one of the ones you've already done, so it'll be quite an easy question. And then there's the exam question for you to have a go at as well. For those of you in my class, I'll use the Zoom link that I've sent to you if you want to do a Q&A, and we'll start that at 10:30. 10:30 we'll start that to give you a chance to get set up and give me a chance to get set up. Hope that helped with the proportion, inverse proportion. Do remember to have another go at these questions in a few days to check you understand them, and again have another go in a week to check you have total understanding. That's how your memory works. Give yourself 2 days practice, give yourselves a week, practice again, and you should have really good understanding after that point.